Hello and welcome, a huge welcome to wherever you are around the world, and welcome to today's Postgrad Insights, which is an LLM special brought to you today by Postgrad Insights in association with Temple University Beasley School of Law. Before I hand you over to a representative from the law school there, just a quick reminder, this is a live session. If you have any questions, to put your Q&As and your chat options at the bottom or top of your screen in the tabs there. Also as well, we do have a live Q&A at the end. So if you've got any issues, concerns, or anything you want to share with us, we will endeavour to get around to your questions. Also, if you're watching on social media, please ensure you use the messenger and chat facility on those options. Now, just a quick run through about what you can expect. We're going to have a presentation from John in just a moment about Temple. We're going to talk about LLM study and postgrad, along with a fantastic opportunity for all students that have registered and that have watched over the last 12 months any LLM or postgrad insights to win a $500 bursary. And we'll also have details of upcoming sessions as well. Now, without wasting any more time, John, I'd like to hand over to you. John is the Assistant Dean of Graduate and International Programs at Temple University Beasley School of Law. He will be with you for the next 15-20 minutes, just presenting, and then we will have a live Q&A at the end. I look forward to seeing you all soon. John, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gareth. And hello, everybody. And greetings from Philadelphia. We are the heart of American history right here and the heart of American law. And I'm just delighted to be here and to be working with Gareth and with Postgrad Insights and LLM Study to be able to share with you our LLM program. No matter where you are in the world, you're not very far from Temple. We have campuses in Rome and Tokyo, in addition to our main campus here in Philadelphia. So we say the sun never sets on Temple University. We are a truly global university, and we welcome international students to our main campus, to our other campuses, and certainly to our LLM program. One of the main reasons why students come and do an LLM at Temple is that we have a strong and flexible curriculum for our LLM students. The LLM is usually completed in one academic year, 2 semesters, and over 24 credits. We do have 2 required courses for our international students, one of which is legal research and writing, and the other is the Introduction to the American Legal System. And these are courses that are also required for the New York Bar examination. And so other than those courses, all of the other courses are electives. So our international students can choose courses that fit their professional interests and needs. Many of our students choose the business and commercial law courses, but we also have compliance law, we have international law, and we offer courses that are in the New York Bar exam subjects. And so we offer a wide range of courses, having over 100 courses every semester for students to be able to choose. We also focus on experiential learning because we know that international students not only want to learn the law, they want to learn how the law is practiced in the United States. Since there's different ways of thinking about the law in common law and in civil law countries. And so we try to bring in as much experiential learning as we can. So in addition to the legal writing course, where students do actually make oral arguments before federal judges, we also offer as an elective externship course for students to be able to work with local law firms or government agencies to be able to get practice experience as well during the course of their LLM. So we really focus on the practical skills to give students not just the substantive law, but the practical experience to be more effective lawyers. This is what Temple does. We're ranked #1 in trial advocacy because we want all of our students to be able to graduate and be better positioned to perform well in finding jobs and to start their jobs off strong. Philadelphia is a great place to study law. We're very close to New York and to Washington, D.C. And in fact, I go to both places frequently. New York is about 2 hours away by public transportation. Driving, it's about an hour and 15 minutes. And Washington, D.C., again, with public transportation, about 3 hours away. Driving can be about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So we're actually very well located. But despite our proximity to New York and Washington, we're considered to be very reasonably priced. And so, students have found that living expenses in Philadelphia can be very, very reasonable, even though we're close to two of the most expensive cities in the United States. Of course, we know a lot about Philadelphia if you're into sports. We have all of the professional sports teams here. The 76ers are perhaps the most well-known. And in fact, a number of the players on the 76ers have come from Temple's basketball team. If you're a movie fan, of course, many movies have been filmed here in Philadelphia. Rocky is probably one of the most famous, and there's the Rocky statue there. And often you need to stand in line to take a picture with it, given the popularity. We have parks, we have a commercial business district, we have all of the cultural offerings, and people come from all over the world, in fact, to visit our museums and to see the historic district in Philadelphia, which is where Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell are. And that's where the American Declaration of Independence and where the Constitution was signed. And that's only a very short distance from Temple's campus. So we think this is just a great place to study law because we're a commercial hub in and of ourselves, but we're also very close to the political and economic capitals of the United States. In fact, right in the middle. And so students have found it to be very enriching because we have other alumni in those cities that they can network with. There are conferences in both cities, including in Philadelphia, where students can go. And so in coming to Philadelphia for a relatively low price, you're getting exposure to some of the best and most popular legal destinations within the United States. At the same time, here at Temple, we try to treat everyone as family. And in fact, we do have a community culture at Temple that's very different from many other schools. And we have, at least in our office, a staff of 5 people that takes care of our international students. But our international students are also cared for by others within the university and within the law school. So we also consider you to be part of our family after you graduate. We have a very, very strong alumni network all over the world, not just from the law school, but from the university, when we have a range of opportunities in the world for our students to take part of. In fact, our LLM program alone has over 1,000 alumni in the United States and around the world. We also offer a range of career support for our students. We have resume writing workshops, we have career services, and this is advice and guidance we provide for life. So if a student who graduates from our program comes to us in 10 years saying, I'm looking to get a new job, can you help? We will. So we consider helping our students in their professional development to be an important part of the work that we do. We also try to pair all of our students with American students in our JD program. And so depending on your interest, we work very closely with the International Law Society and other student organizations to make sure that our international students have peers and mentors within the law school who are not just within our office, but where you're also meeting and spending time with other students. Students can get involved in other student organizations. We have activities from our own department. And so our international students have often felt here at Temple that they're part of a large family. And that's the culture that we want to create because we want students to feel welcomed and included in all aspects of law school life. And we have done that very successfully as one of the oldest LLM programs at US law schools. We do mock interviews for our students who are looking to look for jobs. We participate in the New York University LLM job fair. We help with cover letters and resumes and LinkedIn profiles. We bring in guest lecturers who are local lawyers in the community and alumni who will talk about finding a job in international law. There are plenty of networking events at the university and at the law school that our students participate in. And we also provide academic guidance. So we will spend time with you in selecting the courses to make sure that you're taking the right courses to help you meet your professional goals. So we spend a lot of individual time guiding and caring for our students to make sure that you get the most of your experience here at Temple. We have hundreds of alumni testimonials of students who graduated from the program either recently or years out who will say terrific things about our program. This is just an example of one of our more recent graduates from Ireland who was just saying that Temple was transformative in his experience in growing as a lawyer and finding a job. And noting that we actually bring our students right into the U.S. Federal District Court for mock trials as part of the legal research and writing course for international students. That's not an opportunity that most American students have. And so, but that's one that we provide to our international students in addition to internships and other areas of professional growth. And so our alumni from all over the world have said terrific things about us, which I think is a testimony of the work that we do. So I'm often asked admissions questions and what are the admissions requirements for Temple? These are our general standards, the TOEFL of 88 or an IELTS score of 6.5 with no individual score below 6.0. And then the Duolingo English test, a minimum of 115. So these are the basic minimum standards that we have for admission, in addition to having a first degree in law in your home country. So I'm often asked the question of price, and our tuition is $33,000 per year. And usually students can complete the degree in 1 year. Temple University is a public university, which means that our tuition tends to be around half that of many private schools. And we also tend to be lower than even many public schools. Part of Temple's mission is to provide a strong education to students all over the world and at a reasonable cost. So that's our overall tuition structure. However, we do often provide partial tuition scholarships to qualified applicants. So even though the actual price is $33,000, we do offer scholarships to many of our applicants. And we can discuss that further individually for any students who have individual inquiries. Another way to get a head start on your LLM is to attend our summer program in Rome, which is at our Rome campus, which is right downtown in the historic district of Rome. And this is a study abroad program for our American students, but international students also can attend that program and start earning LLM credits while in Rome. And in fact, we've even had students just do the Rome program and decide not to do the LLM because they just wanted a more shorter term experience. So we are planning already for our Rome program next year. The courses are in American and in international law. We will do a video interview to assess your English level. The tuition is $4,000 for that program. So one of the programs or things that we can do here at Temple to invite international students to start their studies while abroad or in Europe is to attend our summer Rome program. So I will finish up there, and then I'm happy to spend as much time as you'd like with questions and answers. So my colleague, Karen McMichael, is the director of the LLM program, and I put her name and her email address here. And then, of course, there's me. I'm the assistant dean for all of our international programs, and you should feel free to contact me as well. So thank you so much for attending today. It's just been a pleasure speaking with you. And Gareth, I'll turn it over to you to moderate. And again, thank you, Gareth, for this invitation. It's been wonderful.
Brilliant, and a really good insight. Thank you for that, John. I'm sure everybody will agree. It was short, sharp, to the point. Sometimes A lot of people talk about the region and about the university, the law school as a whole, and sometimes can get lost in it because obviously they work there and they're so passionate about it. Not that you're not, of course, but obviously you've got straight to the point and the important points, which is great. So, so I'd just like to welcome our podcast listeners now. So for those of you that are watching on the webinar service, this is also on our Spotify, Apple Music and TuneIn channels. I'm actually joined by Assistant Dean of Graduate and International Programs, John at Temple Law School. Now, John, just give us an insight into Philadelphia. You mentioned how you're not very far away from anything earlier on. You know,
Right.
you are in that fantastic kind of region where you're not too far away from the likes of, you know, Washington, DC, New York, even to a certain extent, the eastern types of like Florida and Georgia and places like that.
Absolutely.
But talk to me about the place as a whole. What's the infrastructure like? Airports, getting in and out, taxis, is it affordable?
Sure. No, Philadelphia has all of the infrastructure of any major city. The airport is about 20 minutes away from Temple's campus. We have train stations. In fact, there is a regional train station right on Temple's campus. And that's the regional rail. And then Philadelphia has a subway system, and there's a subway station on Temple's campus. And then there's a regional bus network. So transportation to and from the Temple campus is actually quite easy. You do not need a car to be able to get anywhere in the region from Temple. And so between the airports, the major train stations, the regional trail stations, the subway, and the buses, the Temple is extremely accessible 24 hours a day. So that, I would say, is the getting to and from Temple. As far as living expenses, generally speaking, our students spend between $1,500 and $2,000 a month for their living expenses in Philadelphia. So I'm aware of places on campus, in off-campus dormitories, where a one-bedroom in a shared unit would be around $700 a month. And so that would be your own private bedroom, but a shared common area. Adding in food expenses, entertainment expenses, generally that comes to between $1,500 and $2,000 a month. For 10 months of the LLM, it's about, we ask students to budget $20,000, but again, students can adjust that based on their resources and their living expenses. So I would say that, you know, in other cities, like in New York and Washington, just a one-bedroom apartment is going to cost $2,000. So you get a tremendous amount of value here in Philadelphia. Of course, in addition to being close to New York and to Washington, we're also close to a lot of natural resources. So Atlantic City and the beach is only an hour away, an hour and 15 minutes away. And out to the west, the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, the Pocono Mountains are only about an hour away. So even though we're not like Los Angeles, we have like those kinds of characteristics because we're close to the beach, we're close to the mountains, close to major cities, all at a very reasonable price. In addition to that, we're just a cultural hub for the United States. We have some of the largest art museums here. The Philadelphia Orchestra is world famous, and students do take advantage of being close to all of those resources. So I would say coming to Philadelphia, I could not think of a better and more reasonably priced and more, you know, satisfying place to study law.
That was going to be my next question, actually. I think you hit it on the head there, that Philadelphia, as we know, I mean, we're based in the UK here, and Philadelphia, right, as we know it, is a very welcoming, very cosmopolitan, a place that everybody knows as a very safe place. From an international student perspective, obviously, it can be quite daunting coming over from, you know, Europe, the Far East, wherever you've come from. How welcoming is it as a city? And are all the things you've just mentioned, such as, you know, the art museums and everything like that, a bit for everyone there? How important is that to the culture in the region?
It is just part of our DNA. It's Philadelphia as a city is considered to be extremely welcoming. And in fact, we have so many immigrant communities in the city. Many of our international students are able to find a home away from home. So we had, you know, we have a large Chinatown. We have a lot of other regional, there's, you know, Jamaican community events, there's Cambodian community events, a lot of immigrant parts of town with a whole range of grocery stores and restaurants and and ways to connect with other cultures, all again at a very reasonable price. So our students often say they just don't feel far from home, even though they're here. That there's enough of this mainstream American experience where they can experience and explore life in the United States, while at the same time, if they want home or something from home, they're able to find a community of people here as part of that. And that alone creates a network. And, you know, at least within the Philadelphia area, it's estimated that approximately 20% of all college graduates in the Philadelphia area went to Temple because we're just a large university with 40,000 students. And so that creates these networking opportunities. So wanting to go to the law firms or to go to counsel within companies or to look at organizations that are doing international trade, all of those things are part of who we are. And through the Temple network, it's a great way to network and meet people in the profession who are willing to be helpful and to serve as mentors. And that's something we're very proud of. And many of our alumni have said, or many of our international students have said, not only did they feel at home and comfortable here in Philadelphia, they also felt that when they networked professionally, by virtue of being a Temple student, they were welcomed by Temple alumni who were in the professions.
Excellent. We'll touch upon Philly a little bit more later on again.
Yeah.
I'm just keen to talk about what some people have asked surrounding the courses, the admission process and everything else. So the next question would be surrounding the application process. You mentioned what IELTS or TOEFL score they might require from an English language proficiency perspective. How long can you expect it to take for a student from start to end? To go and yes, that's where I want to study, all the way through to finding somewhere to live, finding, you know, the right course for them?
Mm-hmm. Sure. No, the process from the application process, we have both a fall and a spring admission. So the application process now is for the January admission. So the application deadline is October 1st. And we usually take 1, sometimes 2 weeks once we receive a completed application, to complete the review. If there's any, but we will interact and we'll speak with the students about any questions that they may have or any ideas they have about the application during the process. So we want to be in communication with our applicants, you know, whatever questions, whatever concerns about the courses, the cost, those kinds of things. We begin that process before the admissions process. So very often we know the students quite well by the time they apply because we've just been talking. And that's just part of the family environment that we have here. From there, the students will apply, and usually it'll be about 2 weeks. And then from there, it goes into the immigration process, where once the student commits and accepts our offer, then we will work with our Office of International Affairs to issue the I-20, which will be needed to apply for the visa. And that also is about another, usually a 7 to 10 day process. So once a student applies, then usually, you know, depending on what time of year it is, it could take, you know, between 2 and 3, sometimes 4 weeks to get the admission letter and the I-20. And then from there, the student then can proceed to apply for a visa. So that would be kind of the window that we have for the application process.
Sure.
Then yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so from there, we then move to the next process, which is the process of helping the students select their courses. And we do that online before students arrive. So before a student will arrive, we will have meetings. For example, for the August start of the semester this year, we've already had 3 or 4 online sessions with our incoming students to help them select their courses. So when they've arrived here in Philadelphia, they've already gotten the main courses for they've already been registered and ready to go for their courses. Of course, we know students will make adjustments once they get here, but our students will usually be well prepared and their courses will be selected before they arrive. And so that's just part of how we do things. But you know, if students arrive here, they start the class, they want to switch another class, or they speak to their classmates and they would like to have new ideas or different, we will work with them to do so. So I would say, the application process is usually 2 to 4 weeks before the end of our admission deadline. Then once we're admitted, we'll be in regular contact with the students until the start of the school year. We'll have had 1 or 2 online sessions before that. And then when the students arrive, we have an orientation. So our students are prepared, and we make sure of that. And so in August, we have a 2-week orientation, which includes how to prepare for US law school, how to brief cases, those kinds of things to make sure students have those skills. We do the same thing for our January enrollment. So students will have an orientation before that program begins. And that is just how we work for the international students. So really, there's not much of a downtime. I would say from the application process to the online, getting to know each other, to the start, through the orientation, I would say that it just follows the calendar, and we just make sure that everybody stays on time.
And for those of you that are listening that didn't catch the webinar, I'd recommend that you watch it, by the way. Head over to Postgrad LLM on YouTube. But John, you mentioned earlier on in one of your slides that the value for a 1-year LLM master's degree with you guys is $33,000. Plus, if you took the summer course, the pre-summer course, that's an additional $4,000. That can be quite daunting. People will look at those numbers and go, that's daunting. How would they go about applying for that scholarship? Is it done automatically from your side? Do they have to approach you with almost tap in hand and say, please, I need some help? How does it work?
It's automatic. So any student who applies to Temple will be automatically considered for a scholarship. And we have a review committee that will look at the student's merit and the student's need. And that's all part of the application process. And so in going through the application, there is a question, are you applying for financial aid? Answering that question will have no impact on the admissions decision. And so again, this is all a conversation, and we want to get to know our students, and we want to get to know our applicants. And in that spirit of understanding each other, we can make the best decision that is mutually beneficial. And that's how we view the whole process. So that's why I would say we would start with just filling out the application that includes the financial aid request, and then we continue talking about what the needs are and what we can do. As a public university, our tuition is already comparatively low. I do understand for students from other countries that's high, but compared to our other law schools within the United States, our full price is about half the price of many private law schools and even some public law schools. And so we do offer partial scholarships. I can't give a number because that changes in any given year and depending on what our budget is and what my dean will permit. But I would say most of our students do benefit from partial tuition scholarships, and we do everything that we can to keep our costs under control.
Sure. From a scholarship and bursary perspective, here at Postgrad Insights LLM Study, we actually offer $500 bursaries as well. It doesn't impact on anything to do with any other funding that you might apply for through Temple or through third-party sources. So keep an eye out for that later on. John, one of the questions you had come in, and I think it's a great question. It's very simple. What's the cutoff age to be able to study an LLM?
We have no cutoff age.
No,
we have students of all ages at Temple University. And every year at the university graduation, they usually feature the oldest graduate from Temple at that year. And we've had students in their 70s, 80s, 90s. In our LLM program, we have had people come who have, they're in a second career, they're in a third career. And so, I know that some schools do have maybe a certain younger population. Our population is incredibly diverse, and there are people in our LLM program in their 20s and 30s, and we have students who are in their 50s and their 60s. And so you're never too old to learn, and so we welcome all students of all ages.
Excellent. And you mentioned earlier on, right at the very start of all of this, that you've got campuses in Rome, and I think you mentioned Tokyo.
In Tokyo as well,
I'm
yeah.
thinking, yeah. So can a student choose to study there? And if they do choose to study there, if you're an American USA student and you want to go over there, is there a specific course they have to study to get there, or have they got an option?
So our Tokyo program is, we have a spring semester there. We have a fall semester there. In fact, you can complete the entire LLM in Tokyo if you'd like. It's a year-round program. And so that is, they have a different tuition structure, which is on the website, similar to main campus though. And so, and students would apply to the LLM program and they would just choose Tokyo as their place to go for one semester or for 1 year. Rome is just a summer program. And so students could just apply to that directly and can be directly admitted to our Rome program, which could then lead to additional coursework in Tokyo and Philadelphia. In fact, within one university, you can actually do a summer in Rome, a semester in Philadelphia, and a semester in Tokyo, because at Temple, we can offer you that global LLM experience.
And I think you mentioned earlier about the summer program as well. A lot of university, a lot of law schools do offer summer courses, but not all of them offer credits towards your final results. So I think that's a huge coup. So just a reminder to everyone watching and listening, if you are thinking, why should I spend an extra $4,000 for no reason? You're not. This is going towards your final credits, and this will ultimately have a huge bearing on your result and your outcome, which is great. One final question for you, John, as well, and it will relate around the courses, the career, and where they ultimately go after Temple. Do you have some business relationships? Do you have opportunities for students that do come and study an LLM with you, that afterwards you can say, well, we have relationships with these businesses and that business, and we can feed into that, and this is our alumni? Can you give us some examples more around that?
Sure. We partner with a number of organizations and law firms for our externship program. And students have worked with government agencies, they've worked in courts, they've worked with law firms, depending on their area of interest. So we try to help place students based upon their interests. So even before graduating, students will have been working with our partners in the externship program. After graduation, we will help our students with their job application process if they choose to stay. There is a 1-year OPT program where students can stay in the United States for a year. And it's not uncommon for our students to have, through our networking, to be able to find the OPT opportunity at a law firm in Philadelphia or in another part of the United States with alumni elsewhere. So we have had students stay for the OPT. Now, beyond OPT is really going to be up to the employer and the student or the graduate, depending on whether that could lead to a long-term employment. So that's a little bit beyond our control. That being said, we do help our students with the process. Make sure you have the best resume. These are the ways to answer the questions. Those are, the ways to present yourself during interviews. These are the kinds of things we help our students with to guide them through the process. But as with any student, finding the job is going to be based on their own efforts. That being said, through our network, our students have found OPT opportunities, some of which have then turned into longer engagements.
John, thanks for your time. Very much appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Gareth.
John, we're going to have to wrap it up there.
Sure. Just one final thing, Gareth, because you asked a number of questions about Philadelphia. I do have a video that we did on 5 reasons to study law in Philadelphia. So with your permission, I'd like to put it in the link in the chat.
Absolutely. Okay. I'll also make sure, John, that everyone that has registered for this session, we will send them a link just so they can have a look at that. Because, like I mentioned earlier, I know Philly is a great place. Philadelphia, I keep using Philly as slang, but can't help that.
That's fine. That's fine. We do too.
So yeah, everybody who is watching and listening, we will ensure that you have access to this video about Philadelphia. And just a reminder, it has been a pleasure. We've had John from Temple Law School, Beasley School of Law, just chatting to us today about the different opportunities that are at Temple and why in general you should come and study at Philadelphia. John, thank you for your time very much.
Thank you, Gareth. It's been a pleasure.
And hopefully we'll see you very much soon, hopefully in the next 12 months, this time next year. But for now, huge thank you.
Thank you.
But for everyone else watching, just a quick reminder about what we offer. So postgrad.com and LLM study. So Postgrad is the #1 postgraduate website around the world, over 200 countries for you to study your courses at. We got high caliber international scholarship providers such as Chevening and Marshall. So if you are worried or you are concerned about the cost of tuition or anything else, head over to our website. We get the best advice on accommodation, visas, careers, and so much more, ultimately making it the one-stop shop for everything postgraduate. And also eligibility for one of our £500 bursaries. Now, LLM Study is very similar, but it's a dedicated website just towards LLM. So if you are watching or listening today and you only want to study an LLM or anything law associated, head over to llmstudy.com, and very much the same as postgrad, all the best things you can find out specifically about LLM. Now, who can apply for our £500 bursary? Full-time, part-time, any student around the globe looking to study any course, studying in September 22, January 22, 23, should I say. And also we are taking applications for September 2023. So please head over to LLM Study or Postgrad, submit your details, click on the reminder link that we will send after this session, or if you're listening to Spotify or Apple Music, head over to our website. But for now, a huge thank you to everybody at Temple Law, not just John today who's made this happen, but Nicole who's been behind the scenes making this all happen. So a huge thank you to everyone, and we look forward to seeing everyone that has joined over the last 12 months at our next session, which will be around Suffolk Law School, also on the East Coast. So but for now, a huge thank you, and we look forward to seeing you soon.